Hey everybody, we got a rework coming to the game. No surprise, they've been coming very frequently lately. But in this next patch, it's going to be similar to the Uncanny, where it's one mutant is bringing an old school mutant team back to prominence. We're going to be looking at Madelyne Pryor, the Goblin Queen, and Marauders 2.0. In this video, we are going to talk about stat buffs, kit changes, Madelyne's kit. Obviously, we'll show some of the fights she's in. I'll give you some of my thoughts on the team. But the TLDR version of this is solid war defense team, not going to drastically change the war landscape. So there's that, if that's all you're here for. But let's get into it. We'll start with Madelyne's kit. So she is a villain global mutant controller marauder. Her basic's pretty straightforward. Primary attack, flip 1 negative effect, and on war defense, flip 3 additional positive effects. So 4. Pretty crazy. We'll see if that's on her ISO attack. That I don't know. Her special, the rest of her abilities do read like novels, guys, so strap in there. So this is a opening ability. Attack all enemies for 300% damage and apply defense down for 2 turns. Actually, I don't know if it's an opening ability. We'll see in the ultimate. I have Cyclops, Phoenix, or Dark Phoenix is an enemy. Bonus attack all enemies for 300% damage. So don't use those enemies, because then this ability's twice as difficult to deal with. And it's already pretty crazy. It applies offense down for 2 turns to all brawler and blaster enemies. That's insane. Disrupt to all protectors and controller enemies. Again, insane. And apply ability block for 2 turns to all support enemies. This attack cannot be counterattacked. On war defense, it is unavoidable. And it'll apply ability block to all enemy protectors. An insane ability. A big component of dealing with this team is probably going to be killing Madelyne before she gets a turn. We'll see if there's teams that are capable of doing that as we go. Next, her ultimate. So yes, the special is her opening ability. So this will flip all positive effects on the primary target and attack that target for 600% damage, prolonging the duration of all negative effects by 1. When used on war defense, this attack targets the most injured non-summon enemy, but it makes the exception for Dark Phoenix. And on kill, it'll generate 2 ability energy for a random Mr. Sinister ally. I wonder how many there'll be. This attack cannot be blocked. So she does devastating things with her kit. And that says nothing about her passive. Her passive is basically the, well, old teams that used to counter Marauders no longer work. Or may not work. We'll have to see. So, her passive, Goblin Queen. When an enemy attacks an enemy Emma Frost, Marauder, or cloned ally below 50% life, she's going to mind control her ally with the highest damage to attack that enemy. So so say you have Shadowlands and you're attacking White Tiger into Sinister, who's at 45% life. Well, Madelyne is calling one of her allies to attack your White Tiger for 30% increased damage. This bypasses the Shadowlands passive where they do less damage to each other mind control, because Madelyne's doing it to her own team. So, she also gains focus and gives focus 20%. Same with damage. Then she gains 50% chance to assist on non-attack abilities. There's lots of those with the Marauder team. She gains 50% resistance per enemy brawler. So that's a lot of resist. There's a lot of brawlers on the Shadowlands team. She lowers the crit chance by 50% for all mutants. That's X Factor. It's a clear shout out to X Factor. Very lazy kit writing, if you ask me. And on spawn, she fills speed bar by 30% for a random Stryfe ally. So Stryfe he's going first. There's like very few teams, if any, that are going to go before Stryfe with all this speed bar that he gets. I believe from Sinister and now from Madelyne. So pretty crazy. You are going to have to deal with that taunt before you get to her. Next, we got Stryfe. Let's look at his kit changes. So he's got some stat buffs, some pretty nice ones. 35% life, 15% damage, 20 armor, 30 focus, 45 resist. Going to be harder to get that taunt off of him, and if you do get it off him, it's going to be even harder to rip through him with that extra armor and health. So, pretty beefy tank to get around off the get-go. Now let's look at his kit changes. So his special, I'm only going to read the new part. On war defense, if Mystique is an ally, barrier all allies for 25% of this character's max life. He just got a health boost, so this barrier is going to be pretty crazy. You also generate 2 ability energy for 2 random Marauder allies, excluding Madelyne Pryor, which is why Madelyne will still open up with her special. Now, think a lot of that energy is wasted, except maybe that's gonna... No, because Emma Frost is not a Marauder. Okay, I was wondering if that was gonna give her ult turn 1. That's not gonna be the case. I think the rest of the Marauders are actually pretty full on energy off the rip. So, for his ultimate, on kill, so if he kills with his ultimate with that extra damage, he just might do so, he'll gain taunt up to a maximum of 3. And if he's charged, he'll clear charge. We're going to see what charge does in a little bit. Where it comes from, rather. And here's his passive. I'll hide for this. It's a huge book. Again, I'm only going to read the new stuff. So, he got a buff when there's a mutant villain. Ally drops below. It used to be 50% life. Now it's 70% life. He'll gain taunt. So, it's like kill Stryfe, or you're going to get stuck behind Stryfe. It's just what it is. While he's charged, he has 500% increased resistance. So, he'll lose that resistance after using his ultimate, so it's basically like a soft nerf after the fact. But hopefully you're not going to see that part, as this is a ward defense team. Next, on ward defense, what they added is that if Mystique is an ally at full health at the start of a match, that's where he gains his charge. So he'll start charged, and he'll lose it after using his ult. And he gets 500% resist. So, harder to strip off him. He's tankier. He's going to taunt more often. He's a headache. We're going to have to figure this out. Then there's Mystique with her stat buffs. So she got 16% health, 27% damage, 100% armor, 44% focus. This was a question the Envoys had because she had really bad focus before. She does get a bunch from her team, but this extra 44% is going to really elevate her. Probably give you able to use her as striker. As far as resist goes, another 12%. So let's look at her changes. So her basic, a little increase on the damage, both on the primary target and the bonus attacks to that target, and added Madelyne Pryor into the Magneto line, where if Madelyne Pryor is an ally, copy all positive effects excluding taunt. And on ward defense, when this character performs a counterattack or assist, it'll apply 1 bleed, which is why I kind of started leaning towards striker. Next, we have the special. Again, small increase to the damage, and then Madelyne thrown into the Magneto line. So, if Madelyne Pryor is an ally, this attack is unavoidable. So just adding Madelyne into Mystique's kit. No great big changes until you reach the ultimate. So it does more damage. And then on ward defense, it is unavoidable. The attack targets a non-summon enemy with the lowest speed instead of the primary target, ignoring taunt and stealth. It'll apply taunt to that target. And if there's 3 or more Marauder allies, which there will be, it'll stun that target. So this is a devastating opening ability. It's no longer just the mind control that Shadowlands used to shrug off. It'll actually do a stun. So it's pretty nuts. Next, we got Sinister, the leader. Well, the old leader. He did get some stat buffs too. 13% health, 30% damage. His basic already trucked. So this is pretty interesting. 15% armor. I put 0% focus with a question mark because we were given the stat changes, but the focus line was just omitted. So I don't know if there's a change and it was just forgot to be added. So I assume it's 0% though. Anyway, resist by 46%. So some pretty nice buffs across the board for these guys. And he only had 1 change. pretty nuts. On ward defense, this ability targets the non-summon enemy with the highest damage instead of the primary target, ignoring taunt and stealth. So if you're using your X Factor and there's multiple man dupes out there, it's not going to target them even if they have taunt. It's going to go for your Longshot, Shatterstar, Polaris, whoever has the most damage. And this ability can target a Dark Phoenix. So she's omitted from all the summon talk. And then of course we have Emma, the pseudo plug-and-play character of the team. Well, she got no changes. She's good as is. I think we should all be happy with that. The rest of the changes are pretty crazy. Yeah, so just how good are they? Let's look at some of the Envoy footage we were given and see how they do. So versus Skillitary, not a super popular team and definitely not a team that I have built up all the way. But let's see how it works here. This was a counter before for those who did have them built, especially after the Skillitary rework. So you see resist right off the bat. Resist coming in. He has that charge, 500% resist. But still not enough to stop the Merc Soldier. So he drops to the Punisher ultimate. So we're looking pretty good for our Skillitary so far. Slows come in, plus some immunities. There goes this special. So look at all these debuffs Madelyne Pryor just put out. So we basically went from like looking really good to in trouble big time. Now, what I will say about this matchup is the targeting is obviously pretty awful. Going for Sinister when he's already done his clone is a problem. Especially when you know Madelyne's coming in with that ultimate, which is like a devastating attack right after. So, keep that in mind. This Envoy footage, it doesn't look like it was full autoplay, but I don't think it was played super well either. So, even though it's going to show it beating a bunch of these teams at even power, I'm not completely convinced it's sure to win. But at even power, you do see we got the Stryfe out of the way, we got the Sinister out of the way, but we're going to fall short. Madelyne hit that ultimate, destroyed Yelena. Red Guardian dropped along the way too. We just got too many debuffs. So this is going to be a win. I'm sorry if it's a little distorted. I did speed this up by ×2 speed, and I know it's cut off. That's the way it was given to us. It was at ×2 speed, so I made it ×4 speed, just in service of this video length. It's a really slow death at the end here for this team. There they go. So it would be an easy cleanup at the very worst, so not a game-breaking enemy team. Let's look at them versus Uncanny, just because they gave us that footage. I don't know if anybody was using Uncanny X-Men against this team. Taking Phoenix into Sinister seemed stupid before, it seems even stupider now, if you ask me. I'll show it to you anyway, though. I think this one was actually pretty quick. So they get immunity off the bat, so Storm doesn't do anything to them. And then Scott did get that offense down from Madelyne, so even if he does get to use his ultimate here, it's going to kind of tickle a little bit. And yeah, he's not even going to have the offense up because the Phoenix clone took it off him. And there's the ability block on him. So, I mean, even with the Phoenix clone, having Storm and Cyclops in the middle like that so that they were more susceptible to both getting ability blocked was a really bonehead thing. So, like, the footage is very sus. Like, I'd be voting this footage off the ship in Among Us for sure. But, as you see, very clean win. Still, even though this footage is sus, I would never bring Uncanny into this team anyway. So, it's kind of weird. And another slow death to end it off. Now the problem with this is the enemy team is finishing with full life and pretty much full cooldown. Sinister will get 3 more on the next one, so that's not a good setup for a cleanup. Now let's look at it versus Shadowlands. Shadowlands is the most sus footage of all, basically because it's not with Hanger. And also, opening up with the Elektra ultimate is kind of weird when you're trying to get past the haunt. Doesn't make any sense. You would try and at least peel that off, even if Elektra were to get resisted. You would do that so you could reach the Madelyne or reach the Emma. And then Moon Knight having Hanger would go before White Tiger, stripping a bunch of things, getting some vulnerables out there so you could probably one-shot somebody with White Tiger still. Probably Madelyne. So I still think Shadowlands will be fine on the live server. We'll have to see with the buffs to Stryfe. I could be wrong. That charge mechanic is super good with the 500% resist for sure. But Moon Knight coming in right after Elektra when there's Hanger up. Yeah, I don't know. Moon Knight peels buffs off great. Maybe you'll want him as a skirmisher instead to really cinch it, but yeah. I don't know. There are some teams they didn't show us that I really would like to see. I would have really liked to see a Zemo X Factor. I would have liked to see Black Order. Black Order wasn't included here either. I would have liked to see Secret Avengers. And I would have liked to see a team just completely destroy them. Like, I don't need to see them beating all these teams that I could see the bad plays. I want to see the teams that can also crush them. Let you guys know. Like Eternals, I'm sure would crush this team. But anyway, that's the footage we were given. So, what's my final grade for this team? I've kind of been bad talking them, but I still think they're a solid team. I'm going to give them a B, maybe even a B+. They are definitely a top 10 ward defensive team. That can't be denied. They're going to be better than Inhuman Coulson. They'll probably be better than Uncanny X-Men. Maybe even better than the new Warrior teams that we see. But that's where I would draw the line. Like, they don't come anywhere close to Young Avengers, or Heroes for Hire, or Dormammu, or an Eternal defense, or a Infinity Watch defense. They're a level below that. And that makes sense because it is just one character getting infused for the rework. That I could live with. It's just like Uncanny was, except it's on War Defense with War Defense tags. And Madelyne looks like a really good plug-and-play character. She's going to be a nightmare to face in Tower Mode or wherever else we might see her with that special. She's basically like, kill this target now, even if there's no Marauders around her. You got to kill her. But I digress. What teams do I think will be able to beat her efficiently? Well, I think Shadowlands with Hanger has a really good shot. I think Z Factor replacing Multiple Man has a good shot. So Madelyne makes it so mutants can't crit. Well, Zemo's not a mutant. Polaris' special will crit because it always crits, if I'm not mistaken. That was made clear to us. Same with Namor. Namor's a mutant, but his ultimate is programmed to always crit. It will crit. So I think there's a replacement for Multiple Man because he's not going to do anything on the team at that point to make Z Factor still work. I don't think that'll be a problem. And then there's the Secret Avengers. It was also made very clear to us that Kestrel's passive, where she rips off any kind of summons, which would be Sinister's clone, will apply to this matchup. I think with the Fury speed up outside of the reactor room, you're still going to get everything you need to do just to kill people, especially because Madelyne will put a bunch of those debuffs out, but if you open up with Kestrel's special, you're going to have immunity anyway. So all the pings will still go through, and I think you'll just start whittling people down. But that's all I got for you today, guys. Let's have a good patch day. I'm super excited for the Darkhold video. The Darkhold team. A new tower coming this patch. Scourge event. It's going to be a hyped patch for sure. But as always, if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe. Stay happy, healthy, have fun, and I'll see you guys next time.